Well, Daytona 500 winner, Tyler Reddick, thank you for coming here to Truist Park. I have to say, I've been watching kind of everything that's been going on this week, and I can't imagine there's a busier man in the United States than Tyler Reddick this week. I look one day and you're on top of like the entire Empire State Building. Then you're
Yeah.
on ESPN. I think this morning you were on Atlanta local news. You're all over the place. Like, are
Yeah.
you? How's this week been for you?
Yeah, there's been a lot going on. I think I'm gonna sleep. I've been sleeping great because when I get to bed, I am very, very tired. So, yeah, these are all great issues to have, if you will. Being tired at the end of the day, all this stuff, doing all this it's been really, really cool. Honestly, I've been enjoying it.
So the being introduced as the Daytona 500 winner, that has not worn off yet, right?
No, I cannot wait. Cannot wait to hear it at driver intros on Sunday.
Oh,
It's
that's
just
awesome.
it's gonna hit pretty good. I'm very excited to hear that. Yeah.
Well, speaking of this Sunday, so I'm lifelong NASCAR guy, and this is not me being biased because I live in Atlanta. I personally feel like Atlanta is, from a fan perspective, the best race, the two best dates on the calendar right now. Just my opinion. But from a driver perspective, what is it like in the current configuration of Atlanta, or sorry, Echo Park Speedway?
Yeah.
What's that like for you?
It went through a very interesting time in my opinion, of the mile and a half racetracks on the schedule. The previous configuration of Echo Park Speedway was like so, beloved or loved,
Either way, I think
either
either
one,
works. Yeah,
like
yeah.
so loved by the drivers. And, it was a shame that in some ways, like the fans kind of fell out of love with what that race was. So for me, I was very torn when, the reconfiguration was in the mix. I was probably one of the most vocal people against the reconfiguration when it was coming about. And, for me, I've never been so happy to be so wrong. Yes, I feel like if we could have had both Atlantas, I would love that. But I understand we only have so much land for a
Right.
mile and a half racetrack. But like, what has been born with the reconfiguration at Atlanta with, uh,
You're good.
let's get that out of our
You're good.
system
You're
at
good.
Echo Park Speedway. My goodness, I was talking about the old Atlanta, and now I'm talking about the new Atlanta, and that's Echo Park
You've been
Speedway.
talking
It's like,
nonstop for like 6 days. You're
yeah,
forgiven. It's all good. It's fine.
yeah, yeah. Kelly's making fun of me back there, my PR rep. But yeah, it's just what we have now today. Is just the racing is amazing. I think to have that mix of intermediate speeds and car handling and the draft and the speedway racing, and everything just happens so fast because it is a mile shorter than, Daytona. It's over a mile shorter than Talladega. It races so well. It really does. It's again, just so happy I was wrong. I was so worried losing, one of our most difficult mile and a half surfaces. And it's just turned into, a new animal. It's still one of our most difficult mile and a half racetracks. And it's just so fun to come race here, like you said.
Yeah. Well, back to Daytona real quick. So people in the office know I'm a NASCAR guy. So even people around here that maybe don't watch NASCAR after the race Sunday, I was down in spring training at Florida all week, and people were coming up to me going, "How about that last lap?" Like people that are
Yeah,
casual,
no,
but
yeah.
they tune in, maybe
Hmm.
just they tune in for Daytona every year. It was like, yeah, it was incredible. It was like it was crazy. What was that like for you? I can't imagine. I mean, I go back and watch like the roof cam or the in-car stuff from your perspective, and it's just insane to me. So what was that like for you? And then what was the first thing that went through your mind when you crossed the finish line?
Yeah, I mean, that was a really crazy last lap without a doubt. I mean, the last few laps, and there's periods of the race where that level of chaos was there. And just, yeah, there was, feels like hundreds of decisions you make I mean, it may not be that much, but you make many decisions every lap. you know not changing your lane or not making a block is a decision you've got to make or don't make. And just, you know starting that last lap, I felt like, man, I really wish I would have picked up the top because it's really surging good. And then right about the time I say that or think that, you know, uh, Hocevar and Jones kind of get the wrong, place on each other's bumpers, and they go crashing across the track. And I mean, just the amount that I had to lift to not be wrecked, but also I didn't lift too much where I lost some momentum and got passed by the cars behind me too. It was just like the right amount, and as soon as I clear that crash, I feel like I'm racing Ricky and Chase to be the leader when the caution comes, and then that doesn't happen. So then it's like, okay, well, now are we racing the end of the backstretch? Does the caution come out then? Or are we racing all the way to the line? And, I'd say halfway down the back, it was obvious. Unless we crashed again, we were racing back to the line. And, just being in the right place to kind of help Riley be able to pick me up and give me the big push, get clear of Stenhouse. And then again, just the timing of everything. I get in line with the 38 and the 9, and it looks like Joey's going to be lined up behind me in my help. But then the leaders, Chase and Zane, go to the bottom. So then naturally it kind of puts the 22 out of the draft, and Riley's able to stay right up tight with me. And so many decisions had to be made in that last lap, and I had to make them all right. And somehow I did.
I think that's one thing. Obviously, we mostly talk baseball here, but it's one of the cliches is a game of inches. It's really a game of, I don't even know what's less than an inch, milli something. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's such a minute
No, I
thing.
mean, from like the driver's seat, as fast as we're going, I mean, it is a matter of inches, like what makes a fast race car and a slow race car in this day and age is thousandths, like, and how we design and put these cars together. So you have to be so precise on the track. You have to be, to even higher degree of precision putting these cars together so that they're fast when you get to the racetrack.
Well, mentioning baseball, because we do talk a lot of baseball here, obviously. So if I was reading a little bit about your family and your wife's family, and so your father-in-law, if I get this correct, he was a pitcher in the big leagues for a long time, like 12 years, 13 years. I think
Yeah.
Phillies, Pirates, White Sox, Cardinals, Expos.
Yeah, just understanding baseball a little bit better for my wife and what it means to her side of the family, has this heightened appreciation for baseball. Her grandfather, has watched baseball his whole life. He's I know it doesn't do me any good here, but he's a huge Yankees fan, and my wife.
Okay. We'll
yeah.
okay.
I'm really, my wife's doing a great thing. He's been working through his things, and she's got it worked out to where they're gonna be able to go to a baseball game here in the summer. So that'll be really cool. It's been a long time since he's been to a baseball game.
That's awesome.
Yeah, like in his house, he's got this corner on what used to kind of be the back patio that they added into the house, and he's just got like all this. I'm loving a lot of it's Yankee stuff, but all this baseball memorabilia from, some of it is from like, the 90s, the 80s, the 70s, like stuff that goes way back. It's just it's really cool to see. So, I mean, I watched baseball growing up, like in a very casual sense. But my wife really helped me kind of get out of the shell of just watching it casually from TV. If I ever ask anyone about baseball, the first or second question is, have you ever been to a game in person? If they say no, if I can't drag them to go to a baseball game, like I'm making sure they go, because it's great to watch on TV without a doubt. But like the experience of being, at a stadium or a ballpark, and just what that's like, getting to spend that with, whether it's your friends, in your younger years, or, as a father with your kids. It's something that I really enjoy. And, for where we live, we have a number of options, to go see the Cannapolis Cannonballers or go down to Charlotte and see the Knights. So, we try and go to as much baseball as we can. And a lot of times it works out with as much as we race.
The same sales pitch that works on baseball, because I do that too. It also
with
works
racing.
It works on NASCAR.
That's a great point.
That's how I got my wife into it. Like I took her to Atlanta, Echo Park, a few years back, and we were sitting pretty high up, but about the start finish line, and you guys take the green flag. But when we came around at full speed for that first lap, and you
Did we
go,
wreck?
no,
Oh,
nobody
oh,
wrecked. It was all
okay,
good.
good,
You're
good.
all good.
I didn't know if it was that year.
No. Wasn't that year? Wasn't that year? It was clean.
Oh man.
Everybody comes roaring by, and my wife, and this is a family show, so I won't say exactly what she said, but she
Oh.
looks at me, and
Oh,
her
yeah.
eyes are this big. She goes, "Holy!" And she was hooked right then. So
That's awesome. Yeah.
so same sales pitch works. And so just to give you a little background about me, so I grew up in NASCAR. So my dad was Cup driver in the 90s, Grand National Series in the 80s. I almost said Xfinity. It's not Xfinity now. It's
O'Reilly
O'Reilly.
Auto
All right,
Parts.
I'm
Yeah.
getting there. Sorry, I'm old habits die hard, but I can tell you literally my earliest memories in life are Dad's first wins in the O'Reilly series at Dover in '87 and the next week in Martinsville. Literally, those are my first memories in life. And even as a little kid, the feeling that I had watching my dad do that, like it impacted me enough to where I still remember it. And then as I got a little older and he picked up some more wins along the way, like those are memories that I just can't even, you can't replicate that, like seeing your dad do that. So for you being a father, having your kids around, I know your little guy is a little too young right now for it, but how special is that just to share in moments like Sunday and every win, just those moments of the track? What is that like as a family guy for you?
It's awesome. I mean, I remember, just the love that you have for racing just continues to grow the older you get. And, you always wonder what happens to some guys that eventually get out of it. But for me, I'm very fortunate that I found that with kids and with my family, just the passion and how much I enjoy going to the racetrack has just continued to grow as my family's grown. So for me to be able to share moments like the Daytona 500 with everyone there, especially everything that my son Rookie went through health wise at the end of 2025, to see him sitting there just like making eyes and making noises and smacking the Harley JRL trophy was really cool. I apologize. What was your dad's name?
Rick Mast. So he was a Cup
Oh,
driver.
no kidding.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was. So I literally grew up first. He retired when I was 18, I guess, first year of college. So I grew up at the racetrack. That was first race when I was 2 weeks old. I think
Yeah.
that's what they told me.
Wasn't he up on stage with Harry when he got inducted?
he was.
Yeah.
He was up there telling
Yeah.
stories. Yeah.
Man, I was hoping I was gonna get a chance. I really wanted, obviously, like for me, that was like, you wonder where these guys go or what they're up to when they retire or move on. And so the way it ended, I had to scoot on out of there to get to Kurt's after party. But I was like, man, I really hope I get a chance to I worked with Andy Petrie for a long time.
Yeah.
So hearing about, Harry Gann and everything. And then, Andy told me he had to go do the fireplace talk, or I don't know how he put it. And then, Andy's up there and Rick Mass is up there. It was your dad. It was so cool. Like guys that I grew up watching, so, yeah, that's awesome.
Well, he'll be at Darlington at Alumni Weekend. So
Yeah.
maybe y'all get a chance to run into each other there. So,
Yeah.
So I would be remiss if I didn't ask you. I've really recently I've been getting obsessed with learning about the GOATs of each sport and then what motivates them. I've been listening to all these podcasts and reading all this stuff. So of course your boss MJ, most famously as a baseball player for the White Sox for a couple years. I think he dabbled in some other sports.
No, funny. I don't even know why we were over there doing the Fox interview, and I was talking about Michael, and I started to, for whatever reason, maybe it's because I'm here, I was talking about him as an athlete, and what I said, whether it's playing basketball, like I said, I almost started saying baseball, and I was like, geez, but that's funny. Maybe it's just because I'm here, but.
Yeah. Hey, when I was a kid, man, I mean, obviously he was and is the GOAT. And yes, I said that he's the GOAT. I heard it. I'm saying here, I'm declaring it. But when I was a kid and he played baseball, it was like you had to tune into Sports Center to hope to catch a highlight of him playing baseball, and you had to get his baseball card. Like it was just huge. So as a baseball lover first, I love basketball too, but I just love the fact that the GOAT was then trying baseball at that point. Glad he went back to basketball and got 3 more rings.
Well,
but
funny enough about his stint in baseball is, I don't even know if my wife has told MJ. I feel like by now, I wish she would have. Maybe next time. But the first time my wife and Michael met, she was a baby. She was with
No
Jose.
way.
Jose was doing like they were doing spring training together when Jose was at the White Sox. And if I got that right,
Yeah, yeah.
they spent time together during spring training. There's like a picture. It's Jose, Michael, and I think Michael was actually holding Alexa of all
Oh
things.
my
So
god.
I don't know if Alexa's brought that up to Michael. I've tried to get her to, and she's like, no, no, no. And so
What a crazy small
that
world that
I don't
is.
have the photo on my phone, but I've seen this photo. It exists. So
Okay.
yeah,
Well, that is, oh my gosh, that's just amazing.
that's crazy, right?
It's a crazy small world. Yeah.
Yeah.
What, so how does he motivate you guys? And I'm just as a fan, I see how he interacts with you guys if it's on camera, whether it's in Victor Lane or if it's after a rough race or whatever. And it seems like he's pretty like pumps you guys up, but is he is he getting into you, like on you a little bit, or is he mostly positive? Is it a little bit above? I mean, just how does the
Yeah.
guy who was so good at motivating himself? I'm fascinated with how they then try to motivate
Yeah.
other people.
Majority of the time, he was always just trying to pick my spirits back up on a rough weekend. Funny enough, I'm sitting here talking to you about, the Daytona 500. And one thing about him that sticks out to me so well is I think me coming into year 2 driving there, he had his years where he had to set up on the backstretch, and we were talking about the race and the weekend or whatever, and he asked Bubba what he thought, and Bubba was talking, and then it was something like, I feel like Michael asked me what my expectations for the weekend are, and he's like, "What do you think is going to happen?" And before I could answer, he kind of said, "I mean, we know you kind of suck at this, but like, how do you think it's going to go?" And I, I took that shit so personally. I really did.
I don't blame you.
I, I was able to come. I reminded him after I won the duel, the following year in 2024. I reminded him. I remembered what he said, and it's just funny. I'm now sitting here, a Daytona 500 champion. You know, when you add up all the super speedway races last year, I know we didn't win, but when you add them all up, we score more points than any other driver. So, Michael hasn't gotten on me a bunch, but, that one really jumps out at me. I feel like obviously I want to get better as a driver no matter what, but like I was not ready for Michael just to, give me a little bit of crap about that. It was healthy for me. It was good.
Well, from what I've seen of him, that seems like it's not too. I don't think you've had it too bad yet. But
No, no,
it
I've
would
not
be
had it
enough.
bad by
Yeah,
any
yeah,
means.
yeah.
I'm not saying I was mad at, like,
Right.
wasn't mad about it. It just motivated me. It's awesome. So I mean, that's just one example, but in a more positive sense, like in the hauler before the race, or we're having meetings talking about the season or what's ahead. He just does such a good job of you know speaking with us and just getting, like, he has accomplished everything that he has, and he's learning about racing, but he just does such a good job of really sharing his experiences and how they can relate to what we're trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
And just, all right, well, this is how he did it. Now let's go out there and do it. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Great. Love that. Even though this is a baseball show, but I just love, because I think there's so much common ground there with any of you guys that are at the highest level of your sport, that just the approach and how you
How
motivate
mental it
yourself
can
and the
be.
mental it can
Yeah.
be, I think is just so fascinating. So that's really cool to hear. So we'll wrap up with just a couple fun little things. So I was thinking about, like, how would if I were to build a baseball team with current NASCAR drivers, and I don't want to go all nine. I was thinking just some more unique like spots. So like, who would be like your leadoff guy, like the speedy guy, probably plays center field, can steal a lot of bags. Like, who of you or your fellow drivers, who's the leadoff stealing, like, stolen
Not in
bases
a
guy?
baseball sense, but like a driving sense, right?
Sure. Yeah, we can go with that. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
trying to imagine, okay, who's like the most like athletic guys, but yeah, I know what you mean. Um, I'd say, like, man, I don't know. I don't know how I wouldn't go with like someone like Larson, either like
That
Larson or
makes sense.
maybe maybe Briscoe, one of those guys.
Okay.
Larson or Briscoe, someone of that nature.
Okay. Who's the cleanup hitter? The big guy, maybe not quite as fast, but he's got a lot of power. Who's that guy?
It's may not, you know, in the car, he may not be the tallest guy on pit road. I mean, he's not really short either, but like someone that, like, can get the job done consistently if given the right opportunity, right?
Yeah.
That's Denny. That's my boss.
Okay.
Yeah.
Love that. Who's the driver that's going to be the first one to lose it and charge the mound? Go after the pitcher, try to tackle and fight the pitcher. Who's the hothead? Who's going
Ryan
after?
Preece. I'm pretty sure it's Ryan Preece.
I love that. Okay. One last this is a fun little game we're going to play here. So I played this with Hosevar and Byron last year when we had them. So this is just NASCAR driver or baseball player. So these are all names of actual NASCAR drivers and baseball players.
Okay.
So you just guess which one it is. All right. All right. Coco Crisp.
Baseball.
Yep. Outfielder, played for about 15 years. Worth McMillian.
Hey, can you, Doctor, come on. I can't tell if he's trying to help me or he's trying to mess with me. Worth McMillan?
Worth McMillian.
McMillian. I'm going to go baseball. Did I get it right?
He was a Cup Series driver in the 60s. So, yep, Virginian. All right. Cuckoo Marlin.
Oh, NASCAR.
Yep. Sterling's dad.
Yeah.
Catfish Hunter.
Catfish Hunter.
Full name was James Augustus, but everybody knew him as Catfish Hunter.
James Augustus Hunter. Baseball.
That's correct. Hall of Fame pitcher. That was him. Richard.
I'm really glad I got that one right.
You got that one right.
Don't say Richard Petty.
Oh, I wouldn't say the king. I would never do that to you. No, I never say the king. Richard Brickhouse.
I don't know why. I feel like I've seen his name on the back of a baseball jersey. I'm going to go baseball.
He was a NASCAR guy.
Dang
Not
it.
much.
Dang it.
I think he was the inaugural winner at Talladega back in 68 or 69. I think on that one. So.
Man, I got to do some NASCAR.
No. I had to look these. I'm a lifelong fan of both sports, and I had to research these, and I got the answers. So I'm cheating. Don't go off of my knowledge. Oil Can Boyd.
This is a trap. I feel it. This is a trap.
You're good. It is a trap. Oil Can Boyd.
I'm gonna go baseball.
That's
It
correct.
seems like a trap. That's not the obvious one.
Dennis Oil Can Boyd. That is correct. Okay, a couple more. Jocko Majakamo.
Jocko. One more time.
Jocko Majakamo. Don't ask me to spell it.
Jocko with CK?
Yeah.
Majakamo.
Yep. Jocko first name. Majakamo last name.
I feel like when I've been in the weeds of Racing Reference is basically like a place where you can go look up all these numbers and data from like racing and stuff. I swear I've seen his name on there.
You have. He did. He ran 23 races in the Cup Series 70s and 80s. So he was not a full-timer, but
I'm like, I've seen that, like, for whatever reason, I'm like, I've seen this name on Racing Reference.
And in full disclosure, I was on Racing Reference and Baseball Reference to come up with this list.
Nice.
You know, that's where I dove in. Let's do one more before we wrap up here. Boof Bonzer. Boof Bonzer.
Real name, nickname? Is that real name or nickname?
I'll tell you his full name here. John Paul Boof Bonzer. So Boof was the nickname.
I mean, he either raced NASCAR in like the 60s or 70s, or he's a baseball player. And I don't know which one. What was the full name again? John
Paul Boof
John Paul.
Bonzer. BOOF was his nickname. Boof Bonzer.
I hope I'm right. I'm going to go with baseball.
You are right.
All right.
A winner. Good job.
There we go.
Job. Tyler, man, thank you so much for taking the time, and good luck this weekend at
Thanks
Echo
so much.
Park, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much.